General Hospital spoilers for the week of March 24th to 28th tease that Drew's press conference quickly turns into a nightmare beyond his worst imagination. What was supposed to be an event to solidify his power and prove his standing turns into a chaotic, high-pressure stage where everything seems to spiral out of control. At first, Drew steps up to the podium with his usual confidence, ready to make strong statements to reaffirm his influence. But from the very first moment, he realizes this is no longer just a typical press conference. The atmosphere in the room becomes tense as a series of surprise, confrontational questions are thrown at him, directly attacking Drew and his past dealings. Information that seemed to exist only in the shadows is now being pulled out in front of the public, piece by piece, making Drew realize that someone has orchestrated everything to go against him. The sharp words from the reporters aren't merely about seeking the truth. They feel like a trap set up to destroy his reputation. The questions grow sharper, targeting weaknesses Drew never anticipated. One reporter asks about his recent financial decisions, implying there might be corruption in his transactions. Another brings up his personal relationships and whether he used those connections to manipulate situations. But what really throws Drew off are the accusations involving his old enemies, shadowy forces who might be manipulating everything to bring him down. A cold shiver runs down his spine as he realizes this isn't just a press conference, it's a premeditated attack. Drew can clearly feel the atmosphere shift as the room's gaze moves from curiosity to suspicion. His words start getting interrupted, his answers harshly questioned. Everything is designed to make him lose control and paint him as a liar in front of the public. He begins to understand that if the press conference continues in this direction, his reputation could be completely destroyed. Even worse, he's at risk of losing his position and everything he's worked for over time. This is no longer a dialogue with the press, this is a real battle where any slip-up can be exploited to bring him down. Drew knows he needs to act quickly if he doesn't want to be swept away by this storm. He can't let the puppeteer behind the scenes control the situation for too long. Someone has orchestrated this press conference into a trap, and if he doesn't figure out how to turn the tables, he could lose everything. But the problem is, he doesn't know who is behind this plan. Could it be an old enemy seeking revenge? Or is there a bigger force operating in the shadows to take him down? The more he tries to regain control, the more he feels everything slipping out of his hands. If he overreacts, it could make him seem like he's hiding something. But if he stays silent, it could be seen as an indirect admission. Every question feels like a direct attack, forcing Drew to brace himself. But right now, he understands that defense alone won't be enough. He needs to find out who's manipulating the situation, who leaked the information, and who is pushing him into this dangerous corner. Suddenly, a video plays on the big screen behind Drew, plunging the room into a chilling silence. It's a secret recording, where Drew's voice is heard discussing a deal he doesn't remember ever making. The room erupts with questions, whispers, and accusing glances. Drew feels like he's been thrown into the middle of a battlefield, unprepared. He knows that if he doesn't regain control right now, the consequences will be severe. He needs to make a decision quickly, either stand firm and fight, or let the storm sweep everything away. But the problem is, he doesn't have much time left. As Drew looks around the room full of reporters eagerly waiting for his reaction, he realizes that this is the moment that could determine his fate. If he can't turn things around now, everything he's worked for could collapse completely. The big question now is not just what Drew will do to control the situation, but who is truly behind all of this. An old enemy? A betraying ally? Or a bigger force pulling the strings from the shadows? One thing is certain, this press conference is not just a regular media event, it's a turning point that could completely change Drew's life. And if he doesn't act in time, he may never get the chance to fix his mistakes. Sidwell is preparing a bold move, a plan that could throw Alexis's life into a spiral of chaos that she cannot control. This time, he doesn't just want to manipulate her, he wants to make her a scapegoat for a deadly plot that has been set in motion long before. Alexis has no idea that from the moment Sidwell appeared at her doorstep, a terrifying storm began to form, a dark plan with her at its center. It all starts when Alexis receives a series of anonymous documents containing fragmented information about a mysterious case. At first, she thinks this is just a strange coincidence or some power play among lawyers. But the more she investigates, the more she realizes things aren't as simple as they seem. The documents contain traces related to an unsolved death, a case where the evidence points directly at her. Sidwell, with his cunning and ruthlessness, has carefully staged every detail to create a perfect picture, a plan to frame Alexis in a way that will be hard to refute. He knows Alexis has a troubled past, with many complicated relationships and decisions that have always drawn attention. But this time, Sidwell wants to make her the center of a case that could ruin not only her career but her life as well. Alexis doesn't realize this immediately, but as the pieces start to fall into place, she begins to understand that someone is manipulating the situation to trap her. Witnesses suddenly appear, vague testimonies, fabricated evidence. All working against her in ways she can't explain. She knows she has nothing to do with this death, but everything is starting to form a completely different story, a story where she is the culprit. Sidwell doesn't just want Alexis caught up in a murder case, he wants to ensure she has no way out. If she tries to prove her innocence, she will face the evidence he's carefully planted. If she stays silent, it will only make things worse. It's a perfect trap, a plan set up to ensure that no matter what Alexis does, she can't win. What's even more terrifying is that Alexis doesn't know who to trust. She can't be sure if anyone is helping her, or if they are all part of Sidwell's game. Do the people around her truly believe in her innocence, or are they caught up in the game Sidwell has created? As each day passes, Alexis feels the walls closing in. She knows that if she doesn't find a way to turn things around, she could lose everything. She needs to figure out who's really behind this case and how to prove her innocence. But the problem is, Sidwell is several steps ahead, and if she's not careful, she may never escape the trap he's set. The biggest question now is not just what Alexis will do to prove her innocence, but what Sidwell truly wants from her. Is this just a power game, or does he have another hidden agenda? One thing is certain, Sidwell's plan is reaching its climax, and when it explodes, no one can predict who will come out on top. General Hospital is focusing on finding the culprit behind Carly's poisoning, but this story is far from being just a typical investigation. As the mysteries are slowly uncovered, a series of shocking events begin to unfold, plunging everything into an unpredictable and dangerous spiral. Carly is not just a victim of a malicious plot, but this poisoning may be tied to even greater underground forces, and one of the names under suspicion is Valentin. Carly is still in the process of recovering, but she cannot sit idly by while the person behind the attack is still free. She wants answers, and she wants the culprit to pay. However, as the investigation delves into unexpected corners, Brennan starts to emerge with an increasingly clear role. He is not just an outsider, but he seems to hold information that could completely change the course of events. Brennan knows more than he lets on, and it seems he has uncovered an important secret related to Carly's poisoning. But the most concerning part is that he is linking this incident to Valentin. If Valentin is truly involved in this crime, it could change everything. He is not only under suspicion but also faces the risk of losing his reputation, power, and even his life if his enemies decide to strike before he has a chance to defend himself. The story becomes even more complicated as Brennan begins manipulating information. He not only presents evidence that could implicate Valentin in this crime but also uses it as leverage to further his own agenda. If he can convince everyone that Valentin is the mastermind behind Carly's poisoning, he could turn the situation in his favor. Valentin, realizing he is being set up, cannot remain passive. He needs to uncover who is really behind the poisoning before everything collapses. But the deeper he investigates, the more he finds himself trapped in a complicated web that Brennan may be pulling the strings of. If Valentin doesn't act quickly, he may become the hunted instead of the one seeking the truth. Meanwhile, Carly is growing increasingly impatient. She cannot keep waiting while the person who tried to kill her is still at large. But if Brennan's information is true, and Valentin is truly involved, then that means she is facing a betrayal much greater than she ever thought. The biggest question now is not just who poisoned Carly, but who is really controlling this entire situation? Is Brennan the one pulling all the strings from the shadows? Or is there another more dangerous force at play, using Valentin as a pawn in their own scheme? One thing is certain, this story will not end simply. As the truth slowly comes to light, alliances may crumble, secrets may be exposed, and those who seem unrelated may be the most dangerous of all. General Hospital is witnessing one of its biggest shifts, and when everything explodes, no one can predict who will win, who will lose, and who will never get a chance to fix their mistakes. Emma and Gio are entering a turbulent period as the truth about Joe's identity is finally revealed. This is not just a shock to those around them but also throws Joe's future into unprecedented chaos. What he thought he could control is now a series of troublesome events, forcing him into a situation he cannot avoid. Everything he once knew about himself, everything he tried to keep secret, is no longer his to protect. It's become a story that all of Port Charles is watching, a mystery exposed amid a slew of conspiracies and power struggles. Emma has always suspected Gio was hiding something, but she never expected the truth to be this complicated. She trusted him, but as the truth comes out, she feels the ground beneath her shaking. Gio is not just someone with a mysterious past, but the truth about his identity could completely change how everyone perceives him. If those hunting Gio discover the truth, will they leave him alone? Can she protect him, or will she also be dragged into this dangerous spiral? The secrets being revealed have unforeseeable consequences, and it is Dante who realizes that the situation is more serious than he initially thought. If Joe's real identity is confirmed, one of Port Charles's biggest secrets could be about to be uncovered. Dante cannot help but question, who is Gio really? And more importantly, why has he been hiding his identity all this time? Dante knows this is no longer just Joe's personal issue. This is a disaster in the making, a storm that could sweep everything away if not controlled in time. If Joe's identity is indeed the missing piece in a larger conspiracy, it means those behind this situation could be watching from afar, waiting for the right moment to strike. Dante cannot let that happen. He needs to find a way to protect Gio, but first, he needs to understand what is really going on. Meanwhile, Gio is being pushed into a situation he can't escape. He can no longer hide his past, and that means he will have to face the consequences of it. The biggest question now is not just who is behind his secrets, but whether he can control his own fate. If he lets everything fall into the hands of those who want to destroy him, he may never get a chance to start over. Emma, though trying to stay calm, cannot help but feel fear about what's coming. She has always trusted Gio, but now, she has to ask herself if their love is strong enough to withstand this challenge. Can she stand by him when the whole world is turning against him? As Dante tries to protect Gio, but also faces dangerous truths, can they find a safe path together, or has everything gone too far to turn back? The deeper they go into the story, the more new mysteries arise. Is there a hidden force manipulating everything, or did Gio unwittingly place himself in an inescapable situation? Who is really behind the troubles he is facing? And if Dante discovers an even more horrifying truth than they ever imagined, how will that change the game? One thing is certain, when the truth is revealed, Port Charles will never be the same. A storm is coming, and no one can predict who will be swept away in this dangerous vortex. If Gio cannot find a way to control the situation, he may lose not only his identity but also his freedom, his love, and everything he has fought to protect. Emma will have to make a decision she never thought she would, and Dante will have to accept that sometimes, justice is not as simple as he once thought. A power play is unfolding, and if they're not careful, everything could collapse in an instant. Ava and Portia are entering a dangerous phase as they decide to take action to stop Drew before it's too late. Both of them know that Drew is becoming an increasingly significant threat, not only to them but also to those around them. However, what they do not expect is how far things could go. One of the biggest changes that could happen may push them down a path from which they cannot turn back. Portia never thought she would be caught in a situation like this. She is a strong woman, always fighting to protect what she loves, but facing Drew is something entirely different. Drew is not an easy person to defeat. He has dangerous connections, power, and the ability to turn things in his favor. If Portia and Ava want to defeat him, they will need to act quickly and carefully. But Ava, as usual, is inclined to take extreme measures. She understands that sometimes, the only way to eliminate a threat is to make sure it never comes back. And if that means killing Drew, it might be an option she is willing to consider. These thoughts begin to haunt Ava as she realizes that Drew is getting closer to the truth. If he keeps digging, he may uncover the secrets Ava has been trying to hide for so long. And when that happens, no one knows what he will do with that information. Will he use it to bring her down? Or will he turn it into a weapon to manipulate and control her? Portia starts noticing the change in Ava's behavior. She is becoming more tense, speaking less, but her eyes are filled with dangerous thoughts. Portia knows that Ava is the type of person who will go to any lengths to protect herself, and that's what worries her. She doesn't want to get involved in a murder, not wanting her life to be destroyed by a decision that may never have a way back. But the problem is, without Ava, she won't be able to fight Drew on her own. She needs Ava, her decisiveness, her ruthlessness that Portia sometimes cannot summon. But she also knows that once Ava has made up her mind, it is very hard to stop her. And if Ava really kills Drew, the consequences will be catastrophic. Both women know they do not have much time. Drew is getting closer to the truth, and if they don't act right now, there may be no more chances. But how far should they go, and to what extent, is something both must ask themselves. If Ava really goes as far as to kill Drew, it will not just be an act of violence, it will be an irreversible turning point. It will be a statement that she is willing to do anything to protect herself. But it could also be the thing that destroys her forever. Portia is caught between two choices: stop Ava before it's too late, or let her go through with her plan and face the consequences afterward. Either way, one thing is certain, neither of them will come out of this unscathed. The obsession with danger is becoming clearer and clearer. Portia can feel the change in herself. She is slowly stepping into a world she never thought she would belong to. And when all of this is over, will she still be herself? Or will she become part of the storm that Ava is about to create? This story is heading toward an unpredictable turning point. Ava may go farther than anyone could imagine. And if that happens, Port Charles will never be the same. A real storm is brewing, and when it explodes, no one will know who will be left standing when it's all over.